We're at the 2K booth here with Cory from Yager to talk about Spec Ops, the line. I think it's kind of interesting that Spec Ops has been sort of in the dark for a while, a bit forgotten franchise, and I haven't heard much about Yager since Yager.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've been working on the line since 2007, dedicatedly with 2K, and before that we had a number of prototypes that we did as well to kind of build up to this premise that we've got and lock down these elements that you're seeing in the demo this week.
And what a demo it was. Dubai is full of sand.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a really crowded genre. If we're not going to bring something new to the table, then why even try? And to us, Dubai just presents such an amazing opportunity for visuals and also for gameplay. And in the line, Dubai has been swept and ravaged by these cataclysmic sandstorms. That's left a number of people dead and also has caused the entire area to be kind of a no man's land. And so sand not only affects the visuals in the game, but as well the gameplay. So you have the opportunity to fight inside of these brutal sandstorms that have changed the landscape of Dubai. They also change the tactics that you need to use as a gamer, and the way you coordinate with your squad, the way that the enemy factions react to you and things like that is entirely different inside of these sandstorms. At the same time, you can use sand to your advantage by causing sand avalanches to crush enemies that are perhaps in areas where you're perceptive enough to notice, where you can use that to your advantage. You can also throw frag grenades into the sand and cause sand to kick up into the eyes of the enemies. So the sand is a physical force that we want to be present in everything that's happening in the game, visually and also in the gameplay.
In this genre, it's often that you're sort of a special ops group and you're jumping around all over the world, and it's kind of hard to keep a red thread in the narrative. But it seems like you have a much more focused narrative here. It's not the sort of the typical conflict that you would go into with this kind of group. Why did you make that choice?
Well, I think you described it pretty well. Like, we really want to tell a story about specific characters that go on a journey. And we've used some references. If you've noticed the demo or the trailers we've released, the Heart of Darkness is a very strong reference for us, and as it was for Apocalypse Now as well. And so we tell this journey of this squad of elite Delta Force operators that have the most well-trained men in the world that are cut off from civilization and from command as they go into Dubai, and heart-wrenching and sinister events take place there that they didn't expect. And so, yeah, it gives us an opportunity to tell a very seamless and also very intriguing story of friendship and also of evolution as these squad mates approach these scenarios, and they each have their own personality. We let the player make choices in a number of these situations as well. So we allow the player to be involved in scenarios where there's no good or bad choice, there's no black or white. We explore the gray area in the line, and the player has to use the actual game mechanics to make choices that affect the plot of the game, that affect the characters that you become attached to, that you can use to your advantage as squad mates and things like that. So it's a really exciting thing for us to be able to tell a seamless story of evolution of these characters and to try and make this as impactful as possible to the player.
So is it fair to say that it has multiple paths in the game and the story?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it's not an RPG or something like that where, you know, you have dialogue trees or something like that you're managing. Literally, you come to scenarios where you just have to make a choice, and that choice does affect the plot and the outcome of the story in the game. And so there's not game over situations where you know, if you don't intervene in time, then you're going to lose, those types of things. It has to do with the skill and the weaponry that you choose to use and the way that you choose to approach those scenarios. And the squad, they don't always agree with each other on how you should approach those things. And they're very vocal about that. And you have to make the choice for yourself.
Speaking of the squad, what's your philosophy behind a squad-based shooter, and what do you want to achieve with, you know, keeping with it?
Yeah, I love squad-based shooters. I know that there's a variety of opinions on that, but what we've done in Spec Ops The Line is we've made sure that, first and foremost, these are characters and they're integral to the narrative in the game. On top of that, they're also a gameplay tool for the player. You play a man named Captain Martin Walker, who's the squad leader of this elite Delta Force unit. And so you can tell the squad where to go, how to attack, who to attack. You can give them a number of interesting contextual commands, like imagine there's a bus filled with enemies that have turrets and you need to get through that section. You can tell them to clear it out, and they'll do that in interesting ways that kind of also enhance the personality that the squad mates have. But on top of that, say you don't want to manage the squad, or you're not interested in that. They're a Delta Force unit, they're well trained, they will support your gameplay style as well without you having to tell them exactly what to do.
I think one of the things that struck me, and I think anyone who sees the game for the first time, is how visual it is with this sand covering the skyscrapers of Dubai. And then we got a scene where people were hanging from lampposts. It's not your typical sort of military shooter. Can you talk us through a little bit about the visuals and the style of the game?
Definitely. I mean, we've also invested a lot in the technology to make sure that we can bring a really striking visual atmosphere to this game with plenty of color and to really bring home that authentic feel of what Dubai is. Because Dubai is just this amazing architectural playground with these opulent materials like gold and marble and crystal and glass. And these things, we try to make them as beautiful and as opulent as they are in the real world, because many of these spaces that you encounter in Dubai are actually entombed by the sand. It's not a war zone. It's not a place that's been destroyed. It's a place that's been entombed. So you may find interiors where, like, the tablecloths on the tables are still neatly folded and things like that. And then you step outside and you have this huge variety of visuals because of the way the sand affects the skyscrapers and the architecture that are there. But there's also, like I mentioned before, there's something very sinister going on in Dubai. Martin Walker, who's our protagonist, comes into Dubai on a rescue mission to find a man named Colonel John Conrad, who is a very revered man and they also have a personal relationship together. And Walker chooses to go on this mission, and when he gets there, he finds something that's going on there that's completely unexpected. And as you saw in some of these visuals, that probably gives you a hint as to the types of things that have gone on here. But this starts to unravel as the squad evolves into the heart of darkness, and things get more and more sinister and darker as they progress.
And when will these things start to progress?
2011 on Xbox 360, PS3, and the PC.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.